Bruh, Sanchez said, wait for it.
How can an AE map be disinformation when it has no curvature, no spin, and it's a fucking map that you can use literally to get from point A to point B? Come on, people. How can it be disinformation when I can literally use this map to get from one continent to the next and it's perfectly accurate? So where's the disinformation at? It shows no curvature, no span. It has an explanation for what hold the waters of the ocean in. And it also can be used for what it is, a map. And it's an accurate map. Flight routes prove that. So where's the disinformation, Jake? Oh,
Really? It's on.
Check this out, yo.
Once again, it's on.
Bro, Sanchez asked the question, is there problems with the AE map? Check this out.
and I'm asking the question, problems with the AE map? Should we keep it or not? So come on up, guys, and let's talk about it. We want to know the people who say it's problems with it. We say it's not. So it ain't nothing we can teach you about the problems. We need someone who see the problems to come teach us because we can't see them.
That's precisely why we made this video, to show you the problems of the AE map. He also asked you to be used.
Do we use it or do we not? Because here's the thing, I haven't heard yet the problems of the AE map. And to me, that's a problem, man, because we got a panel here and I haven't heard no one come with any problems that the AE map has.
You may be asking the question, why are you making this video? Why you just ain't go on Brother Sanchez's panel? Well, I've been on Brother Sanchez's panel a couple of times, and he is very disrespectful. He cuts you off when you're trying to make your points. He trivializes your points, mixes up and confuses your points. He allowed the other Flat Earth panelists to close out without interrupting them. Two of them specifically addressed certain arguments that I made when they were closing out, but they weren't interrupted. But when I was closing out,
So panelists, I'm gonna go and close the panel if it ain't nothing else y'all wanna say real quick.
yes, I would like to close out with a few points. Ain't gonna take but a couple of minutes. Is that all right, Bud Sanchez?
Go ahead, nobody gonna cut you off. You got it, bro.
All right, all right. First of all, I appreciate the panelists and everybody. Share my screen. I just wanted to show something as we close out. And okay.
We all got our mic muted so you could talk, but we all can see your screen and the floor is yours. You got it.
Okay. Yes. What I wanted to first address when the sister speak about the pop-up book and something on the ball and seeing the thing around the ball, we're able to see the entire ball at one time, and so you can definitely see something leaning back. I wanted to just show this real quick. This is a circle with 360 degrees. At 10 degrees, that's 690 some odd miles, and that's how much of a degree of tilt that you would see at 690 miles. So at 30 something miles, it would be closer to the 0 degree mark.
Okay, brother. Now, I knew I said I wasn't going to cut you off, but I'm sorry. I told y'all to be brief. We already debunked that. He had to stick his hand in that boo-boo one more time before we closed out. Jermaine said, nope, I ain't going to let him close out. It's too much good energy going on. Boo-boo time. And guess what he did? If what you just said true, Jermaine, then everything you brought up earlier about curvature at that lake was a waste of our time and bull crap. If according to you, you can't see curvature based on the map you just said, you was being deceptive and you're a lying piece of crap for going to a lake talking about you seeing curvature and then turning around now debunking yourself saying that you can't see it.
Yeah, funny. Typical bruh Sanchez move. confusing two separate points and making them synonymous. The amount of the building that's hidden by the curvature at 8 inches per mile squared, that you can zoom in with the lens and recognize that there's parts of the building that's hidden by the curvature, is not the same argument as not being able to see the tilt of a building at that same distance, because it only tilts at 1 degree for every 69 miles. You're not going to be able to recognize 1 degree of tilt, 2 degrees, or even 5 degrees of tilt looking from 35 miles away. He said he wasn't going to cut me off, but once again, okay, let me make one last different point, bro, Sanchez. Can I make one last different point?
Hey, go ahead, man. We was
Can I make one last different?
Go ahead, brother.
Okay.
Boo boo time, go.
Just to show the inaccuracy in this map real fast. The width of Australia
See,
is
boo
only
boo,
2,500 miles.
We're not talking about the AE map right now, brother. Let me tell you what's going on right now is this. I've been through what you listen. This shit is funny. I'm glad you here, cause I'm fucking tickled to death, cause I know what's going on, Jermaine.
Yeah, enough of that. Now I'm on my own channel, and I'm challenging Brother Sanchez to show the accuracy of the AE map in the Southern Hemisphere. Okay, let's get started. Now, I used popular cities near the coastline of the different countries that had virtually close or not too far off degrees of latitude, so that we could get a virtual straight line flight path. And we're going to be using flight distances, not flight routes. Okay, virtually straight line flight distances. The calculations of those flight distances will be used to get the mile count. Now, we wanted to use popular cities. I use popular cities because many people frequent these cities. They travel in and out of these cities, and especially on the same landmass, they are familiar with the distances between the two cities and how long it takes to reach these cities. Now, we have to set up a barometer so that we can get an idea of how grossly distorted the southern hemispheric continents and countries are on the AE map. So we want to start by using the United States as a barometer and setting up the barometer in the United States, because many of us live in the United States and are quite familiar with the coast-to-coast distance. Now, if you're driving, it's almost 3,000 miles. However, the horizontal width of the United States is 2,680 miles. So we're going to use two cities that are close to the coast or on the coast of the United States that doesn't have a great degree difference in lines or degree of latitude. So we're going to start here, getting our barometer together. We're going to deal with New York City to San Francisco. Now, that measurement is 200 pixels. So what we want to do, we want to get the real world distance, straight line flight distance, which is 2569. And in order for us to know how many miles per pixel is measured here, and these are approximates, so that's understood. So we have to divide 2569 by 200 pixels. And once we do that, we get a measurement of 12.845 miles per pixel. This is our barometer. So anytime we are dealing with two cities, we can multiply the pixels by 12.845 miles and get the AE maps approximate mileage in measuring that distance. Okay? That's understood. Let's move forward. Now, moving on, we have Perth, Australia to Sydney, Australia. Now, in the measurement, I measured 327 pixels. So if we want to get the AE maps distance, we have to multiply this 327 by 12.845 to get the miles that this is measuring. Now, first of all, we know that the horizontal width of Australia is actually less than the horizontal width of the United States. But right off the bat, we can easily see, let's look at it clearer. We can easily see that with the naked eye, that the Australia continent is way wider horizontally than the United States. Okay, we can easily see that. So let's see what this measurement turns out to be. If we multiply the 12.845 by 327, which is the pixel count, we get 4,200 miles. Now, we're traveling 4,200 miles on a continent, straight line distance now, at a shorter area. Let's show that again. It's at a shorter area. It's not even at the widest point. Okay? At a shorter area or distance than the widest point. Yet, we are over 1,600 miles further or longer than our flight from New York City to San Francisco, California. That's a problem. That is grossly inaccurate. How can we use this to navigate when we can just look at something that simple and see how grossly distorted it is? Let's move to another southern continent. Now, bro, you asked the question to show you where you're wrong in the accuracy of the AE map. And that's what I'm doing today. Okay, now we're moving on to Buenos Aires, Argentina, to Santiago, Chile. Now, the measurement was 142 pixels. The real world straight line distance is 708 miles. You have 708 miles. So that's the real line distance or the real world distance. However, once we multiply it by our barometer at 142 pixels, let's check again and make sure that's what it was. Yes, the distance is 142 pixels. We get 1,823 miles. Way off. More than double, 2.5 times the actual distance. Man, that's way off, bro. Okay, we going on to the next. We doing every continent in the southern hemisphere. Okay, we in Africa now. The Nampula province in Mozambique to Namibia province in Angola. Okay, the real world distance is 1,771 miles. Okay, now when we look at the measurement made in Photoshop of the pixel difference or distance, we see 205 pixels. So that means it's actually longer than the United States, or from New York to San Francisco. So the real world distance being 1,771, let's see what the AE map, distance is. We multiply about 205 pixels. we get 2,633 miles. Almost 1,000 miles difference from real world distance. That's not accurate, bro. So now, what we about to do now, we about to get into the water because we're going to show how the AE map actually shows evidence of curvature. This helps us to better get a marker to understand curvature. Since bro said that the AE map shows no curvature, no spin. Well, we're going to show you how the AE maps show evidence of curvature in real world observation. First, I want to play something by bro Sanchez. Okay? Because he said something that we want to touch on, and I want to just make sure that we get it. All right?
Critical for him to say that and then to go against the AE model, which represents no curvature and no spin. How can the AE map be wrong? One, if it's a map and I can use it for what it is to get around and I can be successfully, that makes it a successful map, an accurate map. It's just a map. Number two, how can it be wrong when it shows you that the earth is not spinning and that the earth is flat? How can it be wrong? You can use it to explain circumnavigation.
Okay, so you just heard him say that you can use this map for circumnavigation. So that means we dealing with water distances now. Now let's see. On the AE map, from Santiago, Chile to Sydney, Australia, that distance would be actually shorter than Ushuaia, Argentina to Hobart, Tasmania. As we can look on the AE map, it would be longer from Ushuaia to Hobart versus Santiago to Sydney. So let's look at that. That distance is further. It measures more pixels. So on the AE map, that distance is further. However, on a globe, instead of getting farther apart, these land masses will actually begin to converge. So that means it would be shorter. So first, let's look at the AE map's distance. So the AE map has it at 13,731 from Sydney, Australia to Santiago, Chile. And as understood and predicted, it has it at over 1,000 miles further in distance when we're dealing with Ushuaia, Argentina to Hobart, Tasmania. However, in the real world, that's not what we see. Because in the real world, we have 7,060 miles versus 13,731 miles. And then it jumps up 1,000 miles when we go further south on the AE map. However, in real world, it doesn't jump up. It actually decreases from 7,060 miles to 5,376 miles. Once again, bro, it's way off. And it's showing a marker and evidence that the continents begin to converge as they get closer to the Antarctic Circle. Moving on. Now we're going to do a similar demonstration. We're starting at Buenos Aires, Argentina to Namibia province in Africa. Now that measured distance is 680 pixels. Now, just looking at this, we know that the distance from this point in Ushuaia, Argentina, to Cape Town in South Africa would be further in distance than this current measurement. So if we look at our measurement in pixels, we see that Ushuaia to Cape Town is in fact further in distance on the AE map. However, let's see in the real world or real world distance if it matches up. If it's further from Ushuaia to Cape Town versus from Buenos Aires to Namibia province. Okay, let's see. Well, we look at the actual real world distance and we see that it's actually shorter from Ushuaia to Cape Town than it is from Buenos Aires to Namibia province. However, on the AE map, it's almost 2,000 miles further from Ushuaia to Cape Town than it is from Buenos Aires, Argentina. That's not a good look for the AE map because now we're looking at a further distance on the AE map, but in real world calculations, it's shorter in distance from these 2 points. That's pointing to curvature, bro. That's pointing to a globe. And it's disproving this AE map. I think that's about it. So I challenge you, bro, Sanchez, to prove the accuracy of the AE map in the Southern Hemisphere. That you can use this map to circumnavigate the globe. And that's my challenge.